Hi, I had failed in my undergrad. To cope up this failure, writing became my coping mechanism. On one such night, I used this magical book to point down the topics that I want to talk on TEDx. While retrospecting this behavior of mine, why I did not write, I want to be in TEDx or I want to talk in TEDx. Rather, I was already playing a character which made me to point down all this topic. And today, here I am. I'm still figuring out what to believe in God, parents' blessing, manifestation, universe, or the character that I played. Let me narrate you a story. Right in center of a jungle, there flows a river. And next to that river, there is a tree. And this tree decides success and failure of all the animals in the jungle. On the day of exam, animals are gathered around the tree, except Kittu. Kittu is a fish. He's still sleeping with a smirk on his face. Mom wakes him up, wishes him good luck, and sends him to the exam. Kittu is a fish who can swim very fast and who is happy. He reaches the spot. Now it is his turn to climb the tree. He stood there in front of the tree and he looks up. The tree is taller than he has imagined. He'll take his first step, he'll start to climb, he'll climb, he can reach only to a certain level, he falls down. This is his second chance. He'll try harder, he could reach only to a certain height, he falls down. This is Kittu's last chance. If he fails in this, he'll be marked as a failure. He looks up the tree, gathered all the courage, closed his eyes, and now Kittu will start to climb. He'll reach the first level, the second level, but unfortunately, he couldn't reach the top. He falls down. Unfair, isn't it? If you ask a fish to climb a tree, it will fail. What best could have happened to Kittu? Scenario number one, there could have been separate exam for Kittu, but that can't happen. There can't be separate system for every individual. Everybody should come under one system. Scenario number two, Kittu choosing not to appear for the exam. But that choice comes with its own pros and cons. Here is the secret window. Kittu should have identified that he is a fish. But how will he figure out? Who will tell him? Should we tell him? But Kittu doesn't listen to us. In fact, Kittu is like us. We choose to walk on the path that someone has already walked. Individualism is the crisis of 21st century. Out of all the problems we have in life, all the questions that has to be solved, why identifying ourselves becomes prominent? Well, research says when you are self-aware, you can have career growth, build wealth, manage your stress level to a prominent manner, have a healthy relationship. You can create art when you're self-aware. And most importantly, it helps to break the cycle of anxiety and depression. In a macro level, when people are self-aware, it helps the society to reduce corruption and violence. Putting it in the words of Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Okay. If identifying ourselves becomes so important, how do we do that? What tool should we follow? Out of 40 plus theater shows and 60 plus stand-up comedy performance, here is my qualitative auto-ethnographical observation on how to identify ourselves, how to make meaning out of ourselves. Well, the answer to this lies in an art form called theater. Theater is said to be mother of all performing arts. The common notion about theater is acting, but theater is not just about acting. It's more than that. Theater can be a lens to understand psychology, cognitive psychology, human behavior, education, architecturing, and more. But today, let's use theater as a lens, as a tool to understand, to answer even more deeper question, that is how to identify ourselves, how to know who we are, and how to make meaning out of it. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine you're walking on the street. Simple. Now let's add more constraints to it. Let's add more variables to it. Imagine you're walking on the street, talking on the phone. Imagine you're walking on the street, talking on the phone, and taking notes. Imagine you're walking on the street, talking on the phone, taking notes, and looking for danger. Imagine you're walking on the street, talking on the phone, taking notes, looking out for danger, and also greeting a stranger. Multitasking, isn't it? Well, this is how acting for theater looks like. An actor, while performing on the stage, has to stand in the mark rightly, receive the light, remember his dialogue, emote it effectively, build a chemistry with his co-actor, also invite audience into the play. This multitasking is cracked by all the actors by just developing a mindset called playful mindset. When an actor is adopting this playful mindset, he will be able to move freely, use his properties well, hit, miss, fall, get up, and build a chemistry with the actor and also with the audience. Here is the lesson. When we adopt this playfulness into our life, first thing what happens is we will start to consider ourselves better. We become our own good company, and it helps us to have a better relationship with ourselves. When I say playfulness, that doesn't mean being irresponsible. It is just choosing different things, experimenting, and figuring out what best suits us. When I say playfulness, playfulness can be as simple as taking a different route to your home, trying out different dishes, cooking different dish, wearing mismatched clothes, arranging the furniture in your house in a different way, and talking to a stranger. Just by moving differently, we can invite playfulness into our life. To identify our own game, to identify ourselves, we need to be playful. Now that we know, by being playful, we can find our individuality. But to answer even more deeper question, why we are the way we are, we need to understand a concept in theater called Shivam. Well, here is a scenario. Imagine I want to act your character on the stage. I'll get to know you, your thoughts by the script. And by observing you, I'll get your mannerism. But just this too doesn't sum up acting. I still don't know who you are. What is your cognition like? Scenario number 2, imagine you have to play your own character on the stage. How would you do it? How would you understand your thoughts, feeling, and behavior? Well, the answer to this lies in a shloka that every actor chants before getting onto the stage. The shloka goes like, Angikam bhuvanam yasya, vachikam sarva vagmayi, aharyam chandra taradi, tannumam satvikam shivam. The last line, tannumam satvikam shivam, the meaning of it says, we adore to the purity of Shiva. Purity here is interpreted as innocence. The amount of innocence you have equals to the amount of empathy you possess. The amount of empathy you have equals to the depth of understanding. To understand a fellow human being, we need to be innocent and we need to be empathetic. While practicing this empathy, there is something different that happens within ourselves. That is, we get one step closer towards understanding ourselves better. To give you an example, if I want to act your character who is happy on the stage, I have to feel your laughter in my chest. Only then I can portray the character genuinely. To understand your laughter in my chest, I have to define what happiness means to me and what happiness is all about in my life. This is being self-empathetic. To answer why we are the way we are, the answer lies in being self-empathetic. Now we know by being playful, we can identify our individual game. By being self-empathetic, we will understand why we are the way we are. Now the meta question is, how are we going to make meaning out of it? The answer to this lies in an experimental lab called Open Mic in Stand-Up Comedy. Making someone laugh isn't an easy job. It's like tickling their brain. It's a psychological trick, and laughter is a complex topic to understand. But a stand-up comic always makes it easy and makes it possible and gives successful shows. How a stand-up comic does this is, it is through open mic. Open mic is a forum where a stand-up comic performs his act to a smaller number of audience to figure out where the pocket of laughters are. After performing, he collects the review, he understands where the laughters are, and rewrite the script again. Here is the catch. Here is the lesson. If you correctly observe, although stand-up comics are the one who are performing, are the ones who are creating, the one who is giving meaning to it is the audience. Audience will help the stand-up comic find where the laughters are and help him to rewrite the script. When we allow people into our life, they figure out the points that we haven't seen, and they'll help us to figure out the meaning into our life. Well, if you think allowing people into our life is a sign of weakness, let me tell you this. Imagine ourselves as a sentence that is written on a sheet of paper. Few might interpret that center as philosophy, poetry, or even joke. But when you allow people to participate in the sentence, some might scribble on it, some might paint on it, and some might help you to rewrite the sentence. We are like words. People around us give meaning to it, and people who use the word make the word more meaningful. Well, summarizing the talk, to identify yourself, you need to be playful. To understand why you are the way you are, you need to be self-empathetic. And to make meaning out of your life, you have to allow people to participate in it. Now that you know the secret, who will tell Kittu? That Kittu inside you. I'm not sure whether the Kittu inside you can dance, sing, run, swim, or even talk. But I know one thing for sure. The Kittu inside you can definitely fly. Thank you.